The Discover Montcalm podcast is brought to you by WGLM 106.3 FM, Be More Media, West Michigan Technology and Design Solutions, and DW Video. Welcome to the Discover Montcalm podcast, where we are going to look at the communities, the businesses, the attractions, and the people that make up Montcalm County. Here is your podcast host, Dwayne Weed.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Discover Montcalm podcast. My name's Dwayne. I'm your host and producer. You can follow the Discover Montcalm podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as going to discovermontcalmpodcast.com. Catch all the episodes. At the time that you're going to be watching this will be over 100 episodes. So you got a story, you want to tell your story about your business, you're a community person, you've lived here all your life, you got history, you live here, let me know. I'd love to tell your story. Just reach out to me at 231-250-9624. Well, the purpose of this interview is we're talking to Erica. Erica, thank you for making the long trip from your place to mine, which is not very
far.
Not that far. Erica has Blue Skies Farms, and we're going to dive into that. But before we do, can you tell me a little bit about how long have you been in the county? When did you come?
Okay.
And a little bit about growing up in Montcalm County from your perspective.
Okay. All right. So in 1978, my parents bought a farm out here. There were 9 of us in the family, a big family, and we initially went to Tri-County schools. Were there for quite a while until I was in the 4th grade, and then my parents decided to let's homeschool.
Nothing wrong with homeschooling.
Yes.
And you're on a farm, so
we're on a farm.
Probably part of your homeschooling was do your chores?
Yes. We had cows, chickens, horses, cats, dogs.
Yeah. So you would have graduated in what?
93.
You graduated in 93.
Yes.
We were talking before we started recording here. The farm still, it belongs to your dad,
yes.
Your parents.
Yes.
And you live just down the street, but you run the business out of the farm.
Yes.
At what point did you go to your dad and say, hey, I'd like to make a business out of this? Can you tell us,
Sure.
Give us the backstory.
Sure. So we're going to back up a little before that. We were living out on the lake shore, my husband and our 3 kids, and the Grand Haven area. And I started volunteering with a therapeutic barn that did therapeutic riding with kids who were disabled. And I started at that space getting back into horses. I had been out of horses for a while, raised kids. That kind of spurred me into, I think I want to get back into this. We moved back to Howard City, or I moved back to Howard City. My husband's from Grand Rapids, but moved back to Howard City and told my parents, I said, we'd like to find 10 acres somewhere and then do this thing, whatever.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure what the thing was yet. And we were looking, and my dad's like, you got the farm here. Why don't you do it here? I said, Dad, you're going to have strangers on your property, But he was all right with it. So, yeah.
So, and now you just live down the street.
I live down the street. Instead of buying our own 10 acres, we were able to find the house like a half mile down the road. So my commute to work is very short.
Oh my goodness, you could actually drive a tractor.
Yes. Exactly.
Being in Montcalm County, that is the norm.
It is.
I mean, you see a lot of tractors around. So at what year did you finally, your dad said, well, just do it here. What year was that? And at what point did you start turning it into the business that it is today?
Sure. So when we first, we moved back to Howard City in 2016. And we bought our house in 2017. And we got horses right away. I started giving riding lessons initially. And then I decided to go a little deeper with working with horses. I wanted to do some kind of a therapy, but I'm not a therapist, so I'm like, what options do I have? I found this equine connection out of Alberta, up in Canada. And that is a Equine Assisted Learning program, which is kind of the basis of what you'll find on my website, the main programs that I do. But that is what I started in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts you behind the eight ball just a little bit.
Slowed things down, yes.
You mentioned your website.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the website is?
Sure. It is blueskiesfarm.net.
We're going to take a quick break here, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back right after this to learn more about her not being a therapist, but what she can learn from her horses. We'll be right back.
We would like to thank our sponsor, M1063, WGLM, FM, your locally owned and operated radio station, playing the widest variety of music to keep you moving with local news, sports, and weather. Visit m1063.com. Be More Media helps businesses be seen, be heard, and be more profitable. Be More Media helps small businesses get seen on Google and found through digital marketing and print marketing strategies. Visit them at bemoremedia.com. West Michigan Technology and Design Solutions is your local source for managed IT, websites design and hosting, digital marketing, and more. Check them out at wmtds.com.
Welcome back to the Discover Montcalm podcast, where I have Erica from Blue Skies Farm, just outside of Howard City. And we were talking about using the farm and the horses as therapists. Because,
Yes.
As you mentioned, you're not a therapist.
Correct.
And you told me something before we got started, that you might not be a therapist, but you can tell. Explain that.
Sure. So through working with the horses, understanding what their body language might be telling us, because the horse can only communicate through the body, really. I mean, they might make noises, but that's not generally how they're really communicating with us.
Oh, you don't talk to animals?
I do all the time, but
It's them talking back.
Yes.
It's them talking. Okay.
That's where the translation will get a little interesting. But yeah, so working with the horses with clients at the farm, because I know my horses and what their normal is. They know me and what my normal is. When I have a client come to the farm and we're doing whatever it is, it could just be grooming, because maybe somebody just needs some stress relief. They don't necessarily want to work or do a program. They might just need to exhale. So,
And you're like, here's a brush.
yes. Would you like to clean a stall? Yes.
Why not?
And so what's beautiful with the horses is I don't have to know anything about the client coming, really. Whatever they are bringing to the horse, a horse will respond and give them exactly what they need. Sometimes it's just literally bringing their muzzle up to their face and breathing. And it's one of the most beautiful things to witness. And I've had so many interactions with people in that way. And I don't know their backstory. I don't really necessarily know why they're here.
Right.
Hopefully I do keep in contact with them. I do find out often later of that person's huge emotional release, or just the moment of their life that they just needed to breathe.
Okay. So that brings me back to a question. How does somebody become, I don't know, a customer?
Client. Yeah.
So
sure.
As people are listening to this, your farm is set up as to be therapeutic.
Yes.
And regardless of whether, they're grooming the horse, cleaning out a stall, whatever, as long as it's an opportunity for them to feel
Safe.
safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safe is a great word. Yes.
How do you get your customers now?
So I initially was doing quite a bit of Facebook ads through my Facebook page. Now my old page was just Blue Skies Farm, MI. So if you were to look that up, that page has been hacked. So I can no longer access it.
Okay.
My new Facebook page is Blue Skies Farm in West Michigan.
Okay.
So if you type that in, you'll find me.
So for those that are just listening, you can go to the YouTube channel for the Discover Montcalm podcast, and I'll have that information there.
Perfect.
Or you can go to blueskiesfarm.net and you can get right in touch with Erica.
Yes.
So are you working with outside organizations to bring, because I mean, okay, I feel stressed. I come out, spend a little time. I'm sure you got a fee structure and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So, we'll know what's going on there. But, whether I'm a private individual, how do you deal with the private individual, and then how do you deal with a organization?
Sure. So far, most of my interactions have been with private individuals,
Okay.
Families. I've worked with a few foster care children who are in foster care. Had some phenomenal experiences with that. So for the most part, it has been individuals coming, inquiring, asking, hey, what can I do? At this moment, I'm not teaching riding lessons.
I was going to ask
Yep.
you about that. I was going to say, are you still offering that service?
I am not. I don't have horses right now that I can do that. I had to unfortunately put a few horses down. They just, getting old. But I have 2 up and coming that I'm working with and training. So hopefully, soon we'll have that. But
you were telling me that it isn't about putting people on the horse to ride it. So walk us through
the program.
Sure. So that people can better understand what they're going to be getting involved with.
Sure. So the programs that are kind of outlined on my website they're self-development leadership programs to build confidence, build trust, learn respect, set boundaries. Those are all different things that are done by working with a horse eye to eye. You have a horse with a halter on, the client has a lead rope, and the arena is set up so that we have obstacles to work through or some kind of a task.
Okay.
It could be as simple as getting your horse to step on a glove that's on the ground. Sounds pretty easy.
But I can tell that it's probably not. It's probably not.
Right. But what's beautiful and interesting is when you think about a task, because most people aren't raised with horses, right? Having horses is not just an everyday thing anymore. And so when I have a client come into the arena, and being around a horse is different. And so you're going to have a lot of emotions. Could be fear,
they're big.
worry.
They're tall.
Yes. Although I do have a cute little pony.
Okay.
But he's a great teacher as well. But yeah, so that with the client coming in and working with them, generally they're not horse people. There's somebody that needs to come and do something with a horse.
Right.
They may not even know what or why.
Kind of out of their comfort zone.
Yes, out of their comfort zone.
But yet, the whole purpose is that you need them to feel safe and comfortable there.
Yes, which again is, but one of the most important things for a horse is to feel safe. And so that's where the parallel I always pull in is this horse will work with you when they feel safe. If they don't feel safe, the first reaction generally they have is to leave. And so that's the beauty of working with a halter and a lead rope, is if that horse is uncomfortable, they might walk off.
Well, and to let the people that are there know that, okay, we need to calm down.
Yes.
And
self-regulation.
Yes. But don't pull back.
Right.
Don't. Which I'm sure that after time, that kind of changes.
Yes.
You've been doing this for a little while. Is there one story that comes to your mind that just really touched your heart? You went, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm sure there's maybe
there's
more.
Couple, but yeah.
But share with us,
Sure.
without crossing any boundaries.
Sure.
What is that story?
That is a story of having a lady contact me out of the blue, and she just asked, hey, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I think I need to come. And I said, well, I'm not sure how to help you, but come on out and let's meet the horses.
Is that somewhat typical?
It is often.
Okay,
Yes.
so back to your story.
Yes, so she came out to the farm, and bringing, I always do a little safety demo so people know how to be safe around the horse, how to read the body language and such. And so we got through all the little safety tips and such that I give, just raising their awareness, because again, self-awareness is huge when you're around a 1,200-pound horse. Yeah. And the horse actually that we were working with was maybe a little bigger than that. And I knew just from talking with her that she had something going on. Like her, even though we were having a conversation, her thoughts were somewhere else. Okay. And when I handed her the lead rope and just let her be with him, the response of the horse was to put his muzzle on the top of her head. And I didn't know this I don't know her backstory, right? We're just meeting the first time, okay. Right? So I'm just like watching my horse. I'm like thinking, I'm not sure why you are putting your muzzle on her head, but I'm thinking you're trying to ground her. Maybe you're trying to help her breathe. I don't know. Oh. So I just ask, are you okay with that? Do you feel safe? She says, yes. I'm like, okay. So I just let it be, let them have that moment. I find out a bit later, she started coming weekly for regular sessions, sometimes a program, sometimes just grooming, sometimes just to sit in the stall with a horse. It was just what she needed. Mm-hmm. And so eventually I find out that she was going through a very, very tough time in her personal life. And for her, coming out to the barn was life-changing for her. And to be able to witness what I could tell and perceive from my horse, that was just beautiful.
It's not like you can go back to your horse later and say, okay, give me some notes.
That would be nice.
Or here, let me plug in the USB port.
Yes,
and let
download.
Me
download everything. That would be fabulous.
But I think that's testament to you that you know your horses, mm-hmm. and that you made sure she felt safe. Because if some animal put their head on mine, but. Mm-hmm. That was a calming.
It was.
And I'm sure there's more stories. There's more stories than that. So, do you also work with organizations?
So I am now. So after that experience, that lady is a paramedic. And so with talking with her, I was able to connect now with her and her boyfriend, who is a disabled veteran from the Army. And so he's been coming out to the barn as well. And so with the connection with the two of them, I am now reaching out to military veterans. And then also we'd like to, in the very near future, reach out to paramedics, fire departments, and police officers. All high-stress jobs that need to decompress.
And those are, but sometimes just, being a mom.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so it's it's nice that you're working with, and you mentioned that you've worked with,
disabled kids.
Disabled kids,
mm-hmm.
Or kids that were adopted, or just with kids, period.
Yes.
So all age groups are invited.
All age groups.
And if they've got any questions, blueskiesfarm.net.
Correct.
What's the phone number?
616-589-4304.
One more time.
616-589-4304. And I would like to add just one thing.
Please, I was just going to ask, is there anything that we haven't touched on?
I would like to add, so when I was working with the therapy barn, working with these kids, that was one of the moments that I realized, okay, doing therapy riding is great. Seeing what these kids can do is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Seeing what the horses can do with them and how patient the horses are, it was amazing to watch. But over and over again, having parents come out to the farm, or their families, mm-hmm. older brothers or sisters, the responses I was getting from them was, this day for their child's lesson was the best day of the week, because it was the only time the whole week that they slowed down and they just breathed. Even though they weren't in the lesson, they might wander the barn and see the other horses or whatever it was. So that, to me, just learning that people being around the horses was huge.
Well, right next door to the studio here is a farm, and they give riding lessons.
Yes.
And there's I've heard some stories where the kids come out and the parents won't, they'll drop them off, but they don't go.
Yes.
Because this is a chance for the child to do something on their own, gain more confidence.
Yes.
Learn a skill, in this case, next door, riding. In your case, just to be able to manage the horse.
Yes.
Give the horse a hug,
Yep.
groom it, do whatever it takes. It takes their mind out of whatever
Yes.
is stressing them,
Yes.
and now allowing them to decompress.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all types of
Yes.
therapist terms we could use. If you had a crystal ball, right now we're in August of 2024. If you have a crystal ball, what do you think that the next year or the coming years are coming that you want to, what do you see? In a perfect, if you could just,
Sure, perfect world.
click your heels together.
Oh, well, a couple things, I guess, is I would love to have people coming out to the barn, both to learn about horses if they ever wanted a horse, maybe they're a little older in life now, but hey, I always wanted to have a horse and want to learn how to do that.
Right.
I would love to have people come and help do chores morning and evening. That would be fabulous.
What time?
Contact me.
I understand that one.
But really, just, I'm around the horses every day, and I love it. It's why I'm doing it. But then knowing and hearing different stories of people's interactions, even though they're brief with me, knowing that they've lasted with them, years after, it's great. The things that we can learn from the natural world around us is amazing. So I'm not sure exactly what that crystal ball looks like. I just want to grow it and get people out at the farm.
Well, it sounds like you already are, because you're looking at reaching out to other service agencies.
Yes.
And, I'm sure that, whether they're disabled or not, schools, people,
Yes.
there's so many options out there that
There are.
your service could help people. And I assume that they probably need to schedule time.
Yes.
Because otherwise
Yes.
you get somebody, you get 5 people showing up, 2 horses
Yes.
or whatever it might be.
Yes.
So again, blueskiesfarm.net. Your phone number again?
616-589-4304.
Erica from Blue Skies Farm. Check them out. It sounds like they're doing a lot of really nice things. And that's one of the big reasons I like this podcast, because up to about a week and a half ago, you're 5-7 miles from me, and I
Yeah.
didn't know you were there.
Exactly.
And that's why we like to discover Montcalm, whether it's in Howard City or Carson City, and every town in between, is letting people know what's available within our county.
Right. Your neighbors. Yes.
Which I think is really, really cool. So Blue Skies Farm, excuse me.
Yes.
I got to make sure. Check out the description in the YouTube channel and on our Facebook feeds and Instagram at Discover Montcalm Podcast or discovermontcalmpodcast.com. You can check out all the episodes. Erica, thank you for taking time.
Thank you.
I like learning more about the people behind the sign, and appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I'm sure the horses are going, get back
Dinner
here.
time?
Yeah, come on. It's almost time to eat. So on that note, remember to buy and shop locally.
The Discover Montcalm podcast is produced by content creator Dwayne Weed, celebrating 40 years at DW Video and Multimedia LLC at dwvideo.com or call 231-250-9624. Connect and follow the Discover Montcalm podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Check out all our episodes at discovermontcalmpodcast.com. We look forward to featuring your business, community, nonprofit, events, and more. Contact Dwayne at 231-250-9624, 231-250-9624. Thank you for tuning in and following the Discover Montcalm podcast.